How do you think vulnerable populations will end up coping with sea level rise, especially in places like Florida, where there's a lot of dependence on coastal areas with like subsistence fishing populations, with like elderly populations, and just like low income areas?
Yeah, that's a great question. And my my short answer is for Florida, no. I don't think that legislation is happening fast enough and people are taking climate change seriously enough to for vulnerable populations and different industries and what AOC kind of defines as frontliner populations. I don't think it's gonna happen for them. Um, Not within a reasonable amount of time to where they like absolutely won't be affected. And I think that it's not so much like, or it's not even just their lives that are being kind of uprooted and shifted. It's like their cultures and memories and generations of their family. I don't think it's happening fast enough.
Yeah, no, I agree. Like it's cultures, it's economies, it's a ton of things. I was reading the National Climate Assessment, or at least parts
Hmm.
of it. Every once in a while, I'll try busting into it because it's a giant document. But like I'll read a page or two
Yeah.
every once in a while. And there was one that I thought was really interesting. In chapter 8, it talks about coastal effects, and there's a
Hmm.
paragraph that I just totally hadn't considered before, and it was like the mental effects
Yeah.
of either sea level rise or storms associated with sea level rise, like just different like catastrophes that can happen because of it and how that affects like anxiety, depression, PTSD. So it's like totally not just limited to economy or just limited to the idea of like, yeah, these people have to leave. It's like
Yeah.
there's just a ton to it.
Yeah. And what's funny is not really funny. It's actually kind of tragic, but we learned about epigenetics last semester in my ecology course and how different stressors in somebody's life, in say a mother's life, could basically like write notes on her DNA that will be transferred to her baby. So if like she had elevated levels of cortisol because of stress, because of financial reasons, and not knowing what to do in order to find new housing or to be at work on time and avoid flooding, like her baby could experience those things too and have elevated levels of anxiety and depression. And it's more common, or it's been more studied in smaller organisms, more basic organisms, I think, than humans, but it's definitely something that could happen. um, so I think that that's these mental things and these like physiological responses to stress, and which it's so real. Like the people without money or with less money, more vulnerable populations, like it's so sucky that they have to deal
That's the
with
scientific word.
stress that people with more privilege and more money don't have to deal with.
Yeah.
That just sucks so bad.
Yeah, they're the people that definitely need like representing because sometimes they're not physically able to like
Yeah.
represent themselves, or people aren't seeking out like the ability to represent them.
With Miami, it's not just Florida is like kind of it's just a case study because not only is it, 10% of the population living on the coast, it's also the fact that like Florida is made from limestone,
Yup.
and that's like Swiss cheese. Like water will just percolate up um through the like natural ground. The
Yeah,
natural ground as
the
opposed
natural
to
dirt.
the
Yeah.
synthetic ground. Um
That's my
and
favorite
there's
Radiohead
really no
song.
way to avoid flooding. There's like, I don't know if you guys have read about the king tides or like sunny day flooding
They
in
sound
Miami,
familiar.
but it'll be like a normal day, hasn't even rained, and there's like water coming up through people's shower drains.
Yeah. Hey, thanks for watching that clip.
Thanks a lot. We appreciate it.
Check out our link down to our iTunes. in the description below.
We all know you use iTunes.
I hope you use iTunes because that's where it's going to be.
That's where it is, so use it. Below.